each of those. Okay, so I've carefully, you can see, gone round with the needle file and the pliers, just tweaking each of the arms one by one, and then carefully placing in the ring till it's level, and that when you sit the stone in there. So now I'll just clean up the surfaces, because I've obviously touched it with my fingers and made it a bit oily. So I'll clean off the surfaces that I'm going to solder, and then solder the loop in. Well, I've mounted up the ring here, and I'm just putting on some flux in the areas that I want to put this support ring in place. Which one I'm happy with. Now I'm use easy solder, which has got the lowest melting point of the three solders. This is the last solder. Just carefully placing each of the little squares of solder. Each of the uprights. Now usually when I heat this up, I want to get the temperature up, and then I'll focus in on each of the solder joints. I've got a bit more heat. Still just gradually taking the temperature up. So the solders just starting to melt on that first joint. That's that first one gone. Okay, so that is now my ring is see there, each of the joints is nicely soldered, so that can be pickled the last time. So we've got our ring out of the pickle, so all the joints are nice and soldered together, and if we carefully put the stone in, you can see that it's sitting quite neatly in there. Now we really want to cut these arms down to give us each of the claws, so I'm going to use this to give them all the same length. Set up for the first one. always check a second time that you've got it right. They seem a little bit high, so I'm going to cut just inside of the line because that line seems a little on the high side. Okay, I'm going to just check that one more time. Check that the height seems okay. Yeah, and that looks pretty good. Okay, starting to look a bit like a ring now. So I just want to just tweak these so they're nice and upright before we file them into shape. So now with my needle file again, I'm going to shape each of these. So I'll put a bit of a rounded off the top of that, but leaving the inside flat. And then on the back of that, I'm going to, so obviously it's very thick from this side to this side, so I'm going to narrow it down that direction and make it thinner so that we can bend it over the stone. Okay. So now when we look at it, we can see that we've thinned it down from back to front and shaped it this way, so it's a nice round shape. Now all I need to do is go around each of them and do the same, so they look the same. So I've been round the ring the whole way round, shaping each of the ends of these claws. Have a look with the stone in, get a good idea of how it's looking. It's quite good. Now I need to go around the whole ring and tidy it up. So I'm going to just put in some sanding disc. I'm just going to go around all of the joints, solder marks, and then just clean everything up. Okay, now I've been around the ring with sandpaper and files until I've got that all nice and clean, and now I'm using this sort of abrasive brush tool just to do the last finishing. This will give me the finish that I want the ring to have at the end, which is a kind of satin brush finish. I'm going to go into all those nooks and crannies that I couldn't get to before. And round off all the sharp edges. ready to set the stone. Okay. Now to set the stone. So the ring's all finished. And I'm just going to put the ring in this clamp. And that gives me a chance to hold it nice and steady. And I can put the stone in the setting, and that's looking quite nice. Okay. And now I'm going to use this pusher to just gently tweak those claws over, just gently working around each of them, giving them a little bit each time. And as it starts to tighten on the stone, I can then just check that it's going in straight. Just want to run round and check it's seating straight, and if it isn't, then I can just work on each of these things, either lifting them or pushing them down, depending on where the stone is high or low, but nice and neat, and they're nice and tight down onto the, apart from that one, tight down onto the stone, so if I shake it I can't hit, the stone's not moving, there's no movement there in the stone. And the ring that sits underneath is all nice and tight up against that stone. So I just want to go around each of them and just check that they're tight against the stone all round each of the and this design is a bit over-engineered compared to some settings you get. So these claws are a lot fatter. I guess it's part of the design, but they're a lot fatter and a lot stronger in some settings. So there we go. I think that looks. So now that's sitting down quite nicely on top. Now where the pushers push down on those claws, it's left a bit of a mark. So just on each of the claws I'm going to go around with this very carefully, just to finish the top of that. But if I slip off this and go onto the stone, it will scratch the stone. So you need to take a slightly finer wheel and then go around the same again. And there we have it. Unfinished white topaz ring.